All right, y'all, this is the next morning. It is kind of sort of the same conditions as yesterday, except for the fact that, well, so far this morning has been fortunate and unfortunate. Fortunate is I've got me, well, I got actually two more bigger than this one, but I caught me 3 fresh skipjack. It took a lot of try, but they are starting to move to where I can get them. Like there's a pile of little ones. They're about that big, like right there. But anyway, the unfortunate part is we have 0 current. Basically right now we're trying to fish a long lake. So we ain't gonna have no current till later today. But anyway, so I pulled up on this bank right where there's a creek mouth right. I'll just show you. I'm gonna try to explain things and y'all can't ever see it. I know that because when I go to edit the video, I'm like, well, hell, they can't see what I'm talking about. So anyway, there's the creek mouth, right? So right out here, kind of where this rod's going to be going, it'll be a little bit out. That's going to be in about 30 foot of water. And then we've got kind of the ledge, which is right here. Then there's some structure and stuff. But anyway, there's another creek mouth right over there. And this riprap bank, right at the end of it, there's a big point that comes out. And so we're going to fish the upper side of it, which I've caught some good fish sitting here. But there was typically current. So, matter of fact, I was sitting right here and I caught a monster fish, which was funny. There was a guy, I guess he was bass fishing here. I'm anchored up right there. The fish like bowled up behind his boat. It was a good fish. And he asked me, he says, well, do you need any help? And I'm saying like, well, what are you gonna do? You're in a different boat. It's like, no, I don't need no help, I got it. So it was just a funny situation, but I don't fish this spot near enough, but it is a creek mouth I showed you. It's a deep creek channel that goes back. Now it's narrow now, obviously, because we're at Winter Pool, but that's going to be kind of the plan. So how I'm gonna do this? I'm gonna do this one directly on the bottom. That's going to be on a float. I'm going to do a double hook rig on this one because I do get some bluegill, and I want to toss some of that out, and then that's going to be on a float. So I'll show you how to tie the double hook rig here in a second. But I want to go ahead and get this rod out so it can be, you know, doing catfish things while we're sitting here getting the rest of the boat squared away and getting the rest of the rods rigged up. But yeah, super excited. I mean, to catch the skipjack that I did, like I said, they're kind of hit or miss right now. If we've got current in the morning, I ain't gonna say they're easier to find, but it's a little bit better. But we're gonna get this one tossed out. Problem I'm gonna run into is if there's a lot of people like to hit this, bass fishermen, crappie fishermen, stuff like this, they like to hit this right here. So I will most definitely be in their way. Actually, I'm gonna throw a chunk on the bottom. I don't wanna throw that head on the bottom. But when I say just fresh, this last one that I'm cutting up here, I caught him right before I turned the camera on. So, learned a little something about these skipjack as of right now. So, we're just going to get this one kind of off the top of the ledge, but right at the bottom of the ledge. And it'll be right there where that creek mouth dumps out. That's kind of where I want this one. So basically what we're doing is really, but not really, wasting time until we get current, because that will allow us to go, because this whole bank is where I want to fish today anyway, because there's a bunch of structure along this bank. And I want to be able to spot lock on it. It's what I want to be able to do, but right now I can't do it because we have 0 current. So I can go ahead and get this one tossed out with a chunk of skipjack on it, or with that head. That's what I want to put on this one, because this center rod, like I said, I'm going to do a double hook rig, and I'm going to put bluegill fillets on and then a chunk of bluegill. I don't know. See if whatever's whatever at that point, I guess. But I just got a feeling you know, I got a feeling they're still moving up and down this ledge here. Like I said, there's sporadic structure all down through here. And so I can't necessarily set up on one piece because I got the boat nose up to the bank here on this mud bank. So we'll see. I don't do this often, but boy, I like doing it though. Like I said, when you get a bite on this, it's pretty awesome. And I am most definitely out of the way of that barge that's coming down the river. Like I said, if he hits me, we've got a lot bigger issues. Yeah, already getting a bite on this one. We may hang into a good one here. I don't know. Oh no, it might be the boat moving around. A little slack for that reason. Get this one out there. But that's going to be the plan. I mean, that is the plan. Try to set up on structure today and just kind of see what happens. I mean, dragging boards is good and all, but it's like I said, there's a boat coming up the river now. I bet he's going to want to fish this little opening. And I have to inform him I've got lines out. Let's see, once we start getting current, then it won't be terrible because we're going to have the right wind today. We just need the current to help hold us. Right now we got that barge coming down the river and he's going to be pushing some water, so. Okay, get him back in the cooler. Okay, so I still like using these chain swivels, you know, just for the simple fact, you know, it helps alleviate a lot of the twisting and whatever else. Let's see what that barge does to us. These poles are in the ground. So I'll go ahead and pile them or not this one. Get that done. Now with these double hook rigs, say old Spencer showed me this and it actually worked, like he's caught several fish doing it, so. Let me take some more line out. But basically you take the natural bend of it, you want to leave enough tag in, that way you can tie it. You know, make you a loop, I don't know, about 6 to 8 inches. And then you grab both ends of the loop where they crossed and you take them. And I like to wrap them about 5-6 times. So basically you're just taking, you got the bottom of the loop, you got your tag in where you made the loop, and then you're just kind of separating the two lines. And then I like wrapping them. That's all you basically do. You're just wrapping it. And I like wrapping about, I do them 5-6 times, you know, whatever. 4 you can get away with. Then once you get them wrapped, I can't really show it all that well, but once you get it wrapped, it'll look like that. Then you'll have a loop in the center, then you just reach down and pull the bottom of the whole entire loop through. Wet it a little bit, tighten it up, and that's essentially what you end up with. Just a little loop you can put the hook on. And come down a little bit further. I don't know, you can come down a little bit further, and you just basically do the same thing. Let me get down here and do it. So I gotta pull so much off my spool. Kind of sort of the same deal, about 6 to 8 inch loop. Separate the two top lines, and you just wrap it. Come through, grab the bottom part of it. Wet it, cinch it down. So that's where it's going to tie to the swivel. I want to make a little line down here where I could tie it to the, do a loop for the knot, or for the weight, I mean. And this is just a simple little, yeah, that old barge is moving some water right now. It's right there. Get that on your swivel. Find another 4 ouncer. I don't know if I've got another one out here. I've got another 4 ouncer. Yeah, it's yeah, I'll use a 5. Anyway, so that's tied onto my swivel. You use this loop to get your weight on there, and then you put your hooks on. So I'll have one that's really close to the bottom, just in case they want it close to the bottom. And one a little bit higher, just in case they want a little bit higher off the bottom. But it has been proven to catch good fish. And what it does, it makes a bigger scent ball, is what I've gathered. All right, so basically that's it. You got your top hook, bottom hook, and your sinker there at the bottom. But like I said, I'm gonna get me some bluegill, I'm gonna flay one up, I'm gonna throw a chunk out there. All right, that's what she looks like. You got that, like I said, I got that head that's gonna be laying on the bottom, and I've got that set of fillets that's gonna be up off the bottom. Now I'm just gonna send it out there to the channel. And we'll just kind of chill here. See what happens. All right, looks like we finally got us some current. So let's go set up on this structure out here. Had some skipjack blowing up right there. Unfortunately, I did not get one. I'll use this same bait. They ain't been out there that long. But there's a big pile of structure right up on to the left of us. So we're gonna get to that, get these rods casted out in front of it. See if there's anything moving. Whether it be, blue, flathead, really doesn't matter. Something. Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of current, but we do have some, so that's a start. Get these rods out. Got us a tree right behind us that we're kind of sitting in front of. Quite a bit deeper water. This one's gonna go on the bottom. All right, well, we gave it its time here. We'll move on up to the next set of structure. We'll put fresh bait on. Oh, well, that was all twisted. I thought it felt weird when it was down there. All right, let's get a couple more pieces of bait up there. Two pieces of skipjack. And I need me another bluegill. Because with these, like I said, this is day 2 of the post front. And, I mean, it is what it is. It shuts them fish off, and so we're trying to get them to, I don't know, commit. One of the better ways to find them is what I started doing, like I said yesterday, was just setting up on structure, but like I said, I just ran out of time. But we got plenty of time today because I've got this one here, and we've got a couple more on this bank, and then I think we'll run back down and try shallower structure and see what that does. This is deeper structure here. We're in 40, 42, 41 feet right here. So there's a couple more on up, but like I said, I've caught some good fish over the last couple years on this stretch. Fishing just like this. Now I don't know if we'll do it today. It'd be pretty stinking awesome if we did. But I've caught some good fish fishing these pieces of structure. The one up above us is where I caught a 72. Caught a 60 something and a 72 out of there. Not at the same time, but over the time. But kind of sort of the same deal. What we're doing is we're parking in front of it and I'm casting to it, so I'm pretty sure I'm still a little bit in front of it. Hopefully we can get them out, because I don't want to throw in it for sure. We get bit inside that dude, we'll probably never see that fish if he's a good one. All right, well, we'll give this 30 minutes. It is 10:28, so we'll give it till 11 o'clock. Here we go. There we go. Finally. Oh, did he come off? No way. That was a decent fish, y'all. Man. Oh man, oh man, oh man, that was a decent fish. No way. Oh, it sucks. Oh. Well, let's get him back down there, I guess. Oh, it's a problem with fishing like this. You don't get many opportunities, but man, when you do, you can't have that happen. That was a decent fish. Gosh, dog it. Like he was instantly ripping drag. Oh, that hurts. I mean, I don't think he was an absolute giant, but he was a good fish. Because an absolute giant would have grabbed it, but with conditions like these, I mean, they're not real aggressive. I mean, hopefully they will later on this week. That's why I wanted to do this one longer video so that way you can see the progression of how these fish act. Now, granted, we're not pulling boards, we're not drifting, but I wanted to stick with the structure, you know, to see what we can't pull out, which way we got a couple more pieces up above us. So we'll give this another 10, 15 minutes. Here we go. Now, you gonna stay pinned this time, buddy? This is a little bit smaller fish. Man, I guess it could still be the same fish. I'm not real sure. But I absolutely like that. It's not a big one. Yep, they're just steel muddy. Maybe they're starting to get to moving around. Like I said, we're kind of midday with all this right now. Come on in here, buddy. You done? Come on, buddy. Just absolutely covered in mud. God, I hate seeing that. It's a nice solid fish though. Again, nice solid fish, but same deal. Just look at the mud all the way up its back. They are just so pushed down. Well, they are not like these consistent pressure changes. They don't like them at all. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, they might get to moving around. Let's toss another piece of bait out there. We'll give it a little bit longer. This is a good little stretch. All right, let's move up to another brush pile, just right up above us here. 2 bites, 1 fish. Not terrible. Wind's starting to shift on us a little bit, but I'm hoping we got enough current where it'll still make sense. We'll put fresh bait on. Oh yeah, I was in it with that one. Nothing in it though. That's terrible. All right, we got us quite a bit of structure back there. I mean, it's a good line of it for sure. What do I do with that? Yeah, I'll chunk up this white bass here. There's fish all around it down there, but again, that don't mean nothing. There we go, there we go. I dang sure wasn't paying attention on that. Swimming towards the boat. Yep, staying down. That's a good sign. Yeah, he's staying down. I don't think he's a monster, but he's definitely staying down. Flathead, maybe? That'd be cool. He's kind of acting like a, well, he might be a blue. Decent fish. There's the bubbles. Oh, just a hateful blue. He does not want to come up this boat. Oh, yeah, he's definitely a netter. And that one was the bait laying right on the bottom. Come here, buddy. Come here, you old hateful thing. Oh, he does not want to come in this boat. A little late now, buddy. Heck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, he's about a 25er. Can't argue with them results for sure. Old hateful thing. The only thing about these weights like that, man, when they fall in the net, they fall in the freaking net. Let me do it this way. Heck yeah, buddy. I surely appreciate that. Right behind the tooth patch, that old 8-aught whisker seeker got him. Yeah, but yeah, that's a heavy fish, y'all. Heck yeah, that's a solid 25 right there. Heck yeah, it is. Well, I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. Heck yeah. Nice solid fish. Good deal. Man, just covered mud. That's what I'm saying. That's why the bite's so stinking tough. That old pressure's got them messed up stuff, so they are just pinned to the bottom. That's why I'm sticking with this structure that's kind of in this, mud bottom type deal. Good deal. All right, let's move up closer to this point. Let's see what we got going on there. Pull the fish out of this spot. I figured there'd be more, but like I said, they're not moving. And I mean, yeah, moving to them sometimes works, but also sometimes just sitting in an area works. So we're trying that. That's what we've been trying all day. I'll scan up closer to this point and kind of look and see what it looks like. Usually on the back sides of these points, you get right on whatever the current seam is, which we have a very, very small one. I'll leave that head out there, because you just never know. All right, we are in quite a bit more structure here. Quite a bit more structure. Get out of skipjack. I'm gonna toss this skipjack on that double hook rig, since I've got bait on everything else. This boat gets situated, I mean, it is a bunch of structure, and we're kind of sitting over top of some too. But I'm gonna cast back to these ones back here. Make sure. Man, we hanging fish in this. We need to hope we get him up off the bottom pretty quick. That is most definitely going to have to be the case. Gonna have to make sure we get him off the bottom. Bite on that one. And I guess that's all it was just a bite. Well, dang it. I thought he was going to do something special with it. We'll give this spot about another 15 minutes, then we're going to go set up on our last spot. It's that spot that I was telling you about that has a bunch of flooded stumps on it. They call it flooded timber, but we'll scan it, look around it, see what it looks like. Really thought there'd be fish moving up through here. Really did. All right, this is it. So we've got all them stumps over there. I kind of pulled off because there's a big hole here, and as it starts to well, let me just show you. It'd probably be a little bit easier to show you. Okay, so I'm sitting. This is a piece of structure right here. But anyway, you can see where it kind of shallows up. This is the back side of the hole. We've went through I scanned through here, but right here on this piece of structures on the upper end of this hole here, there was fish. I mean, there was fish all around it. Don't know what that means. Don't know if it means anything, but there was fish all around it. It was a pretty good piece of structure. So we're gonna get some baits tossed out here. I'm gonna use up, that's the last of the fresh skipjack that I caught this morning. But I wanted to give this spot a pretty good sit, just because, it's a big deep hole. And but yeah, it's a big deep hole that I've always seen fish, and like even when I'm pulling boards, I've caught fish out of it. So that's kind of the thinking, that let me just try to just set up on it and see what that does. And I've actually even suspend drifted through here and did pretty well. But I'll toss this one over yonder. Come on, get off there, scale. What are you doing? Get off there. And we'll give this a pretty good sit. but it's just kind of, it's kind of, you know, it's bittersweet sometimes, because now that I know like what's happening, if you remember last week, we struggled, and got a little bit better, than bam, you know, had just a phenomenal day. And that's exactly what, you know, well, would have happened this week, but we've got another cold front coming through tonight. That's why I'm out here today. Tomorrow's supposed to bring a bunch of rain, like all day, 100% chance all day tomorrow. So yeah, I'll probably be high and dry in the house tomorrow, but so we'll have to see what the next day after that brings. What, you know, it's just a cold rain, just steadily knocking down this water temp. So we're barely 68 degrees today, which just a week ago we were in the 70s. So, but it is, you know, I mean, it is that time of year, and once we kind of get down to, you know, the mid 60s there, and everything kind of stabilized, that's what we really need. We need like a good a good 3 or 4 days of stable weather, and then that same bite we had last video will be kind of, I'm going to say, a fairly regular deal. So as long as we got stable weather, but that's something we don't have. We don't have this week. So we're, like I said, we're coming on the back side of this cold front, and then we got another one hitting tonight. So we'll see. But I'm kind of confident in this spot. So we'll see what happens. Well, all right, y'all. That's gonna do it for this one. Yeah, so it's been kind of tough since this cold front come through, which you know, I figured it would be. It is every cold front. The thing is you know, I didn't want to scrap yesterday's video because we caught a couple fish, and caught a couple fish today, and that's just kind of how we're gonna have to play it. I've had one. Well, I had one little bite on this one, and I got one little fish maybe playing with this one. Not real sure, but but yeah, I just, you know, it is what it is. I mean, you know, you get these cold fronts come through, and this is still the best way, I think, to catch a big fish, regardless of the conditions. You just got to get in the right spot. The thing is you've heard me say it before, when conditions change, you know, all the things change, that a bigger fish, he's just a bigger sensory organ. And so he's going to be more susceptible to the changes. So it makes him not want to eat, makes him not want to move, makes him not want to do a lot of things. But this is still the best way, I feel, in my opinion, to catch a big fish or bigger fish during these types of conditions, or any time period. You know, there's been big fish caught many different ways, but I think if you can set up in the right area, right spot, you can catch them. Now, yesterday, you know, we were pulling boards, we were moving a little bit, but once I realized them fish were not chasing the baits down, because we come through some fish, which I slowed down, you know, like I said, to point 0.3, I think it was, but they still weren't chasing the bait because they're pinned to the bottom. So this was the next best thing. Still possibly, you know, suspend drift to them. They may have come up off the bottom to eat it. I don't know. But I figure putting a few on the bottom, putting a few right in their faces that, you know, that I could see, or at least structure. Structure gives you a really good point of, you know, a point of action. So, you know what I mean? So you could see it. You may not necessarily see the fish in it, because if they're pinned to the bottom, you're not going to see them anyway. So that was kind of my thinking. You know, yesterday afternoon, and then of course all day today, which we pulled a few fish in. Nothing to brag about, but we pulled a few in, so it wasn't terrible. Like I said, tomorrow it's supposed to be raining 100% all stinking day, so I'm just not even going to mess with it tomorrow. But we'll see what the next day after that brings. I'll probably be back out here, but we'll be facing the same conditions, you know. Another cold front come through, so we'll see. We'll see what the bite's like. I mean, I'll definitely come out here for sure. We'll give it a shot. We'll try something, you know, maybe put a few in the boat, but yeah, like I said, not a terrible day. I mean, the biggest thing was I was able to catch some fresh skipjack this morning. again, so that's kind of cool. Not many, but I got what I needed. So it's a great thing about, you know, going with just these rods here. I mean, you save so much bait instead of running, you know, 10, 15 rods. But anyway, I guess with all that being said, I appreciate you watching this one, and I'll catch you in the next one.